The data definition and the data manipulation languages are probably the ones you will use more often. The following two lectures are rather informative. Some terms we will use will not be used later in the course. However, please pay attention as they will widen your view about the activity domain of SQL. The data control language is a syntax containing only two statements, grant and revoke. As you probably guessed, these statements allow us to manage the rights users have in a database. The thing is, a database is typically used by tens or hundreds, sometimes even thousands of people. All members of the institution, organization, or company to which the database belongs. These people are called users, and they don't necessarily have the same rights of access to the information in the database. This is where grant and revoke come into play. Grant gives or grants certain permissions to users. The syntax to comply with is the following. Now, let's do an element-wise breakdown of the structure. With this syntax, one can grant a specific type of permission, like complete or partial access to the resources from a designated table from a certain database. These rights will be assigned to a person who has a username registered at the local server that MySQL has provided with the workbench. The server is based on our machine, and it's commonly known as localhost, which is the domain name for the local IP address of our machine, 127.0.0.1. Naturally, big companies and corporations don't use this type of server, and their databases lay on external, much more powerful servers specially designed to store big amounts of data. Those servers are not our local host and are accessible on different IP addresses. To illustrate this activity, granting privileges, we will show you how usernames are usually created in SQL. Then, we will grant certain rights to a user. Don't worry if it looks unfamiliar. In a few lectures, we will explain in more detail how the MySQL workbench functions. By typing this, we will create a user, Frank, with password pass. Say we'd like to allow Frank to have access to certain resources in our database, like the table containing customers' data. Then, this line of code will allow Frank to apply nothing but the select statement to the customer's table from our database. He won't be able to use drop, truncate, alter, insert, delete, or any other command. Just select. It will be the only manipulation he could carry out. To prove this, let's look at the screen. This is the workbench that opens when Frank logs in from his profile. What is important here is that, as expected, Frank can only see the customer's table in the cells database. He can't get to the cells or the items table, for instance. If we try to apply the alter statement and the add clause, we would obtain an error. When we attempt to run a select command, the output of the operation will appear immediately, and we will get a sign that the command has been successfully executed. This code here will allow Frank to have complete access to all the tables of the cells database, as indicated by the star symbol. Frank can carry out many more operations, including the ones you already know of: create, drop, truncate, select, insert, alter, and so on. After this code has been run, we can open Frank's profile and see more tables have been shown in the cells database, not just the customers table. The alter statement will work too, not just the select statement. The rest of the DDL and DML statements are available too. Great! People who have complete rights to a database are database administrators. They can grant access to users and can revoke it. The revoke clause is used to revoke permissions and privileges of database users. It is the exact opposite of the grant statement. The syntax is identical. Instead of granting permission to somebody, one can revoke a privilege from somebody. The example we saw a minute ago could grant the user Frank the privilege to apply the select clause to the customers table from the cells database. To revoke the same permission, we should type the following. Revoke select on cells.customers from Frank within quotes at localhost within single quotes. We can revoke from Frank the permission to apply the select command in the customers table. He cannot use select on this table anymore. There is one final part of the SQL syntax we would like to introduce to you. We will do this in our next video. Thanks for watching.